KCAA Loma Linda.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a child of God, a husband, NRA conservative, radical right-wing supervillain, and Twitter rock star. American by birth, Texan by choice, and a badass by nature. He's the owner of TomO'Halloran.com, O'HalloranMedia.com, and PatriotRadio.net. Please welcome Tom O'Halloran.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Welcome to Jihad on America. I'm your host, Tom O'Halloran, broadcasting from an underground bunker in Arkansas, Nebraska, to educate, irritate, and agitate. And if you're not agitated by the end of this hour, by golly, the terrorists may have already won. If you'd like to join the conversation, please call 888-909-1050. If you'd like to listen to the show by phone, the number is 832-999-1050. You can listen to the live stream on the computer or even watch, as of today, the live stream video on PatriotRadioshow.com. We now have a chat room as well where you can join the conversation and talk to other listeners. Again, my name is Tom O'Halloran. On Twitter, I am TPO_hisself. My primary blog is TomO'Halloran.com. When you get there, please be sure to follow me on Facebook, Spreaker, and any other social media you like. Also, please make it a point to follow my editor, Veronica Coffin. Veronica does much of the heavy lifting on my websites these days, and without her doing that, I couldn't do this, and I appreciate her dearly. You'll find Veronica's follow button at the bottom of each and every post. Also, please visit the blog for this show, jihadonamerica.com. We've also launched our Facebook page. I'd appreciate you stopping by and liking the page as well. The page is facebook.com/Patriot Radio Show. I'm on air 3 nights a week now, so please be sure to catch Patriot Radio with Tom O'Halloran every Tuesday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On Friday nights, I do this show, Jihad on America, where I cover the Islamists in America, who they are, what they want, and why you should be afraid. Each week, we continue pulling back the mask of Islam, what's being done in the name of Islam, in the name of Allah, both here and abroad. I do the news about Islam around the world because it's a glimpse into the future if we continue to allow the Islamic cancer to spread. If you did not catch my show on the Muslim Brotherhood or my show Islam is Not a Religion, please do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. Do America a favor. Find your way to PatriotRadioshow.com and listen to those. They will educate you. You will never talk about Muslims. You will never listen to anything about Islam again the same way. It will also give you a good foundation upon which we build each week right here. Keep abreast of all of my shows. Listen to the live stream, watch the live stream video, and catch up on any archive shows that you may have missed, all on PatriotRadioshow.com. Next up, our scorecard. Islam. It's supposed to be the religion of peace. Well, let's see how peaceful they've been this year. In the year 2014, there have been 272 terrorist attacks, 37 suicide bombers, 2,429 dead bodies, and 2,028 wounded, all in the name of Islam. Totals for all other religions combined are 0, 0, 0, and 0. Each week I bring you up to date on what's happened in the world of Islam since we last talked. In the last 7 days, brothers and sisters, there have been 308 killed in the name of Islam. and over 398 injured. Going through the list, just talking of some of the higher ones, we don't have time to read through the whole list. There have been so many attacks. We're looking at about 46 attacks this week. Iraq, 16 killed and 28 injured as Sunnis detonate a car bomb amid restaurants and shops. Nigeria, a suicide bomber sends 11 worshippers at a rival mosque straight to Allah, 37 injured. Gaza Strip, 9 children among 10 killed when a Hamas rocket falls short. Cameroon, Boko Haram killed 10 people and kidnapped at least one woman. Nigeria, 30 villagers are slaughtered randomly by Boko Haram gunmen. Turkey, Libya, a rocket fired by a suspected Islamic militia hits a house and kills 23 laborers. India, 2 Sikhs are murdered in a violent Muslim attack, 2 dead, 19 injured. Benghazi, 3 dozen soldiers are killed during a sustained assault by Ansar al-Sharia. Syria, at least 50 Syrian soldiers are captured and beheaded by Islamic State militants, who then post the heads on a long row of fence posts. Afghanistan, 3 women and a child are among 15 Shiites singled out and pulled off of a bus by dedicated Sunnis who bound their hands and then execute them. Iraq, 18 suspected victims of the Islamic State are bound and executed. My friends, these are Muslims killing Muslims. They exist to kill all non-believers. This is how they deal with believers who don't believe exactly the way they believe. How do you think you are going to fare when the Muslims rise up here in the homeland? And they will rise up here in the homeland. If you don't believe me, please find your way to patriotradioshow.com. Listen to Islam is Not a Religion. I promise you, your eyes will be opened. In that episode, I take you step by step how they increase their activities as the percentage of the population increases. We know at what percentage of the population they start to get rowdy, at what percent they start to get violent, and at what percent they just get murderous. And we have country by country by country for every stage of the way. My friends, we've got a whole lot on the table tonight. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody in the chat room: Veronica, Brian, Ron, Marlene listening on the phone. I love you guys. I appreciate you more than you know. And we'll be right back.
If the truth hurts, then AM 1050 KCAA can be a real pain.
Guardian of our constitutional republic, founder of PatriotRadio.net, ladies and gentlemen, Tom O'Halloran.
Stuff your pockets while Rome is burning. I've got a feeling that the tide is turning. I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am America. One hope to heal our land. I will not give up on this fight. I will not fade into the night. I am America.
Welcome back. This is Jihad on America, and I am your host, Tom O'Halloran. Welcome back to the show. ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. They started in Syria, and they've swept through, and they've taken over about a third, almost a half of Iraq, savagely killing people in their path. They've destroyed all the churches in Mosul. They've massacred hundreds and thousands of Christians. But one of the most shocking videos you'll ever see was posted by ISIS this last week. It's difficult to watch. They've rounded up a couple of hundred young Iraqi soldiers. And they've got them riding in trucks. They take them to a field. They get them down from the truck. They've got their hand on each other's back, and they're just marching along down into a ditch. They kneel down. They're cuddled up, huddled together, and just passively await their execution, which is all filmed. They film it and they post it as trophies to their savageness. It reminds me of the Jews boarding trains and riding along and then just casually walking into the ovens. It's hard to imagine the feeling that they must have. They know these people are savages, the most savage terrorists that have walked the earth in almost forever. And yet they walk passively rather than rising up. There's probably a dozen terrorists with rifles, large magazines, probably 30 rounds each. But you've got a couple of hundred of you. What makes them march to their death rather than attacking en masse and fighting for their lives? I don't know. You'll see it online. It's hard to watch. It's one of the most difficult things that I've ever watched. But these are the animals that we're dealing with. And we've got a number of stories coming up tonight. The numbers aren't as high, and that's certainly going to skew the numbers for next week. In Pakistan, a young man posted a picture of a partially clad young woman on an Islamic statue. Put it up on his Facebook page. And there was rioting in the streets. A house was burnt down, not the young man's house, but this blasphemous act caused an 80-year-old woman and her two granddaughters, one aged 7 and the other just 8 months old. They were trapped in one of the buildings that were burnt, and they died because an intolerant Muslim couldn't live with somebody saying or doing something bad to or about or regarding his religion. Nigerian forces. Remember a couple of months back when Boko Haram kidnapped 300 girls from one school and 200 from another? We covered it a couple of weeks in a row. They started gang raping these young girls. Then they started selling them off. What they couldn't sell off, they gang raped and they killed. Now they've found another use for the girls. They're not being gang raped right now, but they're having bombs strapped to their little bodies. A 10-year-old girl was wearing a bomb and was sent into a market. And somebody else set off the switch because they knew she wouldn't. And some people in a mosque perished, and the little girl perished. All because of the savages. American troops fighting over in Afghanistan are being told to refrain from eating or drinking in front of Muslims during Ramadan. During the month of Ramadan, a so-called Muslim religious holiday. It's not a religion. And if you don't believe me, then you have not listened to my show, Islam is Not a Religion. Please find your way to patriotradioshow.com and listen to that one show, if for no other reason, to call me up and tell me that you disagree with me. But they considered a religion because they're uneducated and ignorant. But during this religious holiday, our soldiers are told to abide by Islamic law. No eating or drinking during the daytime, or at least not in view of any Muslims. Since when do American military have to abide by other religions' laws. The order from their commander also suggested that they learn about Islam. Why should they learn about Islam? All they need to know is that Muslims are killing us, and their job is to kill other Muslims. That's all they need to know. But no, they can't learn that because Barack Hussein Obama has appointed Muslim Brotherhood, those are terrorist guys, bad guys, he's appointed their affiliates as advisors in his White House, in his administration. And they've advised him to stop using the word Islamic, stop using the word terrorist, stop training the security forces like the Army, the Marines, the FBI, the CIA. Stop teaching them about Islamic terrorism because it will offend Muslims. So this spineless coward in the White House is tying the hands of our security forces that are there to protect us. And now Obama's military chiefs are telling our sons to learn their so-called religion, the religion of hate and death and murder. And if you don't believe me, stick around. We have many more stories. Many more stories. Last week we reported on a Filipino contractor in Libya that was caught and beheaded because he was a Christian. He was beheaded just for not being Muslim. A couple of days later, showing up in this week's report, a Filipino nurse over there to serve and protect and take care of Libyans, of all religions, of all beliefs. She's caught outside of her home and taken to an unknown, undisclosed location and gang raped by at least 6 youths. The Philippine embassy has directed all of their 13,000 expatriates to see the counselor and get repatriated, bringing them home where they have a chance at safety. Not that that is going to make them safe, because they have Muslims in the Philippines as well. And at least 21 Filipino villagers were attacked by Islamic militants. Abu Sayyaf gunmen attacked Filipino civilians traveling to celebrate the end of Ramadan. Now, these are more Muslims. These are Filipino Muslims traveling to celebrate the end of their religious holiday. And they're attacked. 40 to 50 Abu Sayyaf militants armed with assault rifles opened fire on the vans. Marine General Martin Pinto and other military officials, they said the motive wasn't immediately clear, but some of the dead belonged to a civilian military force engaged in a clan feud with Abu Sayyaf. They live to kill non-believers. But if there's not a non-believer around, they'll kill anybody just because you're not as Muslim as they are. You're not as pure. You're not as dedicated to the jihad as they are. On the 22nd day of the Israeli offensive on Hamas in retaliation for their hundreds of missiles launched into their Israeli territory, the Central Gaza preacher said that Hamas's aim was to be totally exterminate Israel, to kill all the Jews living there. Wherever the Jews live, they spread corruption, they say. So they want to kill all the Jews, and Obama is saying to the Jews, negotiate. How do you negotiate with somebody that says out of their own mouths? This isn't me saying they want to kill all the Jews. That's what they say. Their very charter for existence says that they are there to wipe out Israel and kill all the Jews. How do you negotiate with that, Obama? How do you negotiate with somebody living next door that says they want to murder you and all your family and all of your family's friends and neighbors. They are savages, and I pray that Israel wipes every one of them out. My friends, we've got some more bills to pay. Please stick around. We'll be right back.
The most diversified radio station on the dial, AM 1050 KCAA.
Tom O'Halloran has a not-so-common core spelling lesson for the Obama administration. Ready? There is no K in America.
There's kids that can't pray in school, $100 tanks of gas. I can tell you right now, this country ain't supposed to be like that. No, that ain't my America. That ain't this country's roots. You wanna slam all on the Sam, but I ain't letting you. Yeah, I'm mad as hell, and you know I still bleed red, white, and blue. They ain't us, and that ain't my America. Oh no, that ain't my America. No, 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 no.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Jihad on America, and I am your host, Tom O'Halloran. I want to thank every one of you for listening, whether you're on the air, in the chat room, listening on your phone, what have you. I know there's a lot of choices on radio these days and a lot of other options on a Friday night. So I appreciate each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. Al-Qaeda, they released their own video this week. This was a little bit different. They released a video of a Florida-born Mohammedan, Moner Mohammed Abu Shalah, alias Abu Harunia al-Amariki, was believed to be the first American national to carry out a suicide attack in Syria. And he blew himself up, and so much for him. He'll never be coming back to America, and America is better off. I just pray that no one else got hurt in his heinous deed. ISIS, we mentioned them earlier, the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. They were ranting and raving over a megaphone and saying their Islamic message. And a young resident, a 20-year-old man, opposed them. He said he doesn't like what they do, and he refused to address them as the Islamic State. And these scumbags took this 20-year-old boy and cut out his tongue. And I imagine they did other things as well because he was left seriously wounded. They're savages. They are. And don't think that just because your neighbors or somebody at work seems like a regular person, that they're not going to participate in this kind of action. Because when their numbers get to be high enough, they will be forced to participate. They will be forced to march, to overturn cars, to set fires in the street. And if they don't, they will be executed like all those other people that I mentioned early in the show. You either do it or you are going to be killed as well. The United States has been sending billions over the years to Hamas to feed the people, humanitarian aid it's called, to feed the people. Other nations have sent it as well. To feed the people, to provide medical care for people that get injured in the bombings and fights, make sure the people don't starve. But at least $2 billion with a B had been funneled off and used to build these Islamo-Nazi Hamas terror tunnels. A tunnel network from the Gaza Strip all the way into Israel, coming up under hospitals and under schools. The plan was that on September 24th, the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, Israeli New Year, Hamas terrorists were going to swarm up from all of these tunnels with bombs, AR-15s, AK-47, whatever they can carry, and kill as many Jews as they can from a multi-front. Billions of dollars just to be able to kill some Jews. Fortunately, the tunnels were discovered, although Israeli security is being chastised for not knowing that these were happening. Huge tunnels with lighting, reinforced roofs, paved floors, tunnels that you can stand up and walk and run underneath. Tunnels of terror built right under their feet. All the wasted money. I heard a story that there were hundreds of children that were killed in the building of that. I'll have the full story for you next week. I hadn't found the story by Showtime, but I'll dig it up and get it for you. A Muslim-owned cafe in Belgium. Now you're thinking, okay, we're out of the Middle East. We're in the European Union at least, right? So it ought to be fairly safe. So a Muslim owns a cafe. What could be the harm in that? Well, the harm comes when they put up this sign, both in Turkish and in French. Dogs are allowed in this establishment, but Jews are not under any circumstances. Yeah, there's no racism or hate crime there, is there? Dogs are okay, but no Jews. 4 teens were arrested in England. 4 Muslim teens were arrested for brutally beating a rabbi. Brutally beating a rabbi as he left his temple. These savages will gang up and they'll beat on little old women, kids, whoever they can, as long as they're defenseless and they're not like the terrorists and bad guys aren't likely to get hurt. It's a horrible state. In Iraq, Christians have been begging the world for help. Is anybody listening? Since capturing the country's largest city in Mosul back in June, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria has ordered Christians to either convert to Islam, pay jizya taxes levied on non-Muslims, or die. They've taken the Christians' homes. They took the cars that they were trying to leave in. They took all of their money. One woman had $40,000 in her life savings on her person. They took it. She begged them to leave her $200 so she could at least eat. They said no. They took the wedding rings off the people's fingers. And if they couldn't get them off, they took the fingers. There are now over 5,000 destitute, homeless people with no future wandering Iraq. It's a crime against humanity. For the first time in over 2,000 years, there are no Christians in Mosul. They've taken down all the crosses. They blew up the prophet, or they blew up the tomb of the prophet Jonah. An Orthodox cathedral has been converted into a mosque. They're uprooting every vestige of Christianity. And Obama has said not a word. Not a word. But when Israel defends itself and launches some rockets into Palestine, to the terrorists that are shelling Israel, Obama goes on TV and says, I don't want to see another Palestinian die. Doesn't say a word about the Israelis that are dying, about the Christians that are dying. It's the Palestinians. When Israel detects that a missile is coming from a certain building, they fire a dummy missile. They fire a signal to that location that says, get out, because we are going to bomb this building. Hamas won't let the civilians leave the building. If they do try to run and get out, they're beaten and sometimes shot. They want them dead. They want the civilians killed by Israel, because they can hold that up to the media and say, look, the murdering Jews, look what they did. Israel always sends notice, we are taking this building out, and gives them time to clear the building. It's Hamas. It's the murdering scumbags of Hamas, which is a terrorist organization recognized by the United States, although supported by Obama, because they are murdering Muslim terrorists. And that's what he sides with. Every time he'll side with the murdering Muslim terrorists. He supports Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban. He'll sit down and negotiate with them. He'll send them money. He'll send them rockets. He won't sit down and talk with a Republican. But as long as they're out there killing Christians, hey, let them have what they want. Friends, we got to take care of some more business. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Your voice, your opinions, heard round the world at www.kcaaradio.com. The station that leaves no listener behind, AM 1050 KCAA.
Tom O'Halloran, holding the line against tyranny from Washington, D.C.
I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am America. One hope to heal our land. There is still work that must be done. I will not rest until we've won. I am
Okay, Prince. Welcome back. Again, this is Jihad on America. I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope to see you again next week. Another shout out to everybody in the chat room, my editor for all the web pages, Veronica Coffin. I appreciate you more than you know. Ron, Brian, John, love you all. I'm glad you're there. It seems the administration is a little bit confused because the U.S. Defense Security Cooperation Agency, who knew, right? Who knew we even had a U.S. Defense Security Cooperation Agency? But these guys have decided to sell the Iraqis 5,000 Hellfire missiles to help it in the war against the jihadists. Whoa, against the jihadists? Didn't the CIA Director John Brennan already declare that jihad is a positive concept? Hasn't the Obama administration deleted all reference to jihad in the counterterrorism training manuals? And in other words, Obama administration policy is that jihad is a wonderful thing. He's embraced it all along. He's put jihadists into power. The president of Egypt, thanks to his money, his arms, was Mohammed Morsi, a Muslim Brotherhood jihadist. So we've got this one group of the government giving Iraq money to fight this group that another part of the government is saying are good people. So boy, this is gonna be messed up. Somebody's gonna have a meeting with the White House. I'll tell you that right now. Somebody's gonna have a meeting with the White House. Sell Iraq weapons to kill jihadists? You might as well fire the rockets at the White House, because that's Obama's blood there. Folks, I want to take just a couple of minutes and talk about your money. I've talked about terrorists and terrorism every Friday night now for about 3 months. And every time you fill your tank, there's an extremely high likelihood that some of the money that you're handing over is going to Saudi Arabia, is going to Qatar, is going to Islamic countries that fund these murdering scumbags. I've never been one to have a crusade of my own. I've never been one to rally people around a boycott, to stop doing this or doing that. But did you know that Shell oil imports 205 plus million barrels of Mideastern oil? Chevron Texaco, 144 million barrels. ExxonMobil, 130 million. All of this money is going into the hands of the terrorists. And you think, well, what are you going to do? Everybody has their gas. But it's not so. There are places that you can get gas, and probably not that far out of your way. The prices are probably the same or possibly even cheaper. Because if you just pull into a Sunoco gas station, they import 0 Middle Eastern oil. Conoco, 0. BP or Phillips, 0. Arco, there's a common one for you, 0. Valero, 0. I don't know where this one's located. I don't see him, but Flying J, 0. Hess, 0. Murphy oil. Now, Murphy oil is sold at Kmart. And I know there's a lot of people out there that hate Kmart or Walmart. I know there's a lot of people out there that hate Walmart because of the unions and for all the Chinese goods they import and stuff. But if you do nothing else at Walmart, please go there to buy your gas. It doesn't come from China. It may be the only thing on the property that's not from China. But Murphy oil is all from southern Arkansas. It's fully USA owned, fully USA produced. And they're generous with scholarships to all the children in the towns nearby where they process the oil and all that. So do America a favor. Buy your gas from these stations. I mean, it really does make a difference. Sunoco, Conoco, Sinclair, BP Phillips, Hess, Arco, Maverick, Flying J, Valero, and Murphy oil. All the others, there's 0 Saudi Arabian, 0 Mideastern oil, but they'll bring it up from Venezuela or Mexico or numerous other places. But Murphy is all in the U.S. of A, and it's a great thing to make that switch over. Now, I get asked on a regular basis. People say, Tom, I hear you on the radio, I see you online, I see you on Twitter. You put out a lot of good information, but what can I do? I don't blog, I don't have a radio show. What can I do to make a difference? Well, it's pretty easy, actually. Find a website with content that you like. I hope it would be one of my sites, but it doesn't have to be. But let's use my site, for example. Go to TomO'Halloran.com. Veronica Coffin and I post about 20 to 25 articles a day. Read through them. Select 2 that move you. Take those articles and post them to Facebook. Tweet the articles. There's buttons to just boom. One button, it's on Facebook. One button, it's on Twitter. Print them out. Print them out and put them up at work on the bulletin board. Spread the word. Then when you're done with that, look at the very top line on my webpage. There's 12 more websites up there. Veronica Coffin does a fabulous job. There's a website on Hillary Clinton. There's one for this show, Jihad On America. There's one against the gay activist agenda. There's one on voter fraud, one on gun-free zones. There's one on tyranny response team. Pick something that piques your interest. Go find a couple more articles and post those up to the internet. Print them out. Email them around. Help spread the word. Veronica and I post a ton of information on these sites. And I've got 140,000 followers on Twitter. I've got a lot of readers. But if only 10% of those people would post 2 to 4 articles a day, and then if 10% of the people that read those would post 2 to 4 articles a day, the number of people waking up in this country would grow exponentially. So whether you use my websites or someone else's, get involved. We've got an election coming up in about 90 days, 94 days or something. Get involved. Share articles that you find to be informative. This lets other people know that you care and that you're paying attention to where the country is heading and that you're doing something about it. Folks, it's not too late to turn a country back around and get her back on track. But at this point in the fight, you're either helping or you're part of the problem. And it's time to take the gloves off and fight for what you believe in. There's a lot of people out there intent on destroying America. Some of them are Islamists. Some of them we elected. Some of the ones we elected are Islamists. You know who we're talking about. But we either engage the enemy or we accept that we're willing to hand our kids and grandkids an Islamic America without all the liberty and freedom that we're accustomed to. I can't let that happen. Can you? Good night, America. God bless you and yours. This is Tom O'Halloran. I'm out.